In this video clip, we'll look at two groups of first formula. And this is the first group of the formulas. If we look at these two triangles, this one with this one, we know then the shapes of those two triangles are the same. If you have an x-coordinate or horizontal coordinate of P1 is x1, vertical coordinate is y, then for the coordinate of this point, which is P0, then you will have an xy coordinate switched. Because this was x, then the y coordinate of this point, P0, will be actually x, because this part was x. Then the length of this part is going to be vertical coordinate. So vertical coordinate is actually x, the length, and then if here is y, that's the length of this segment. Okay, that will be the x coordinate will be the value y, is xy switched to yx. Okay, but we know cosine alpha is x. Sine alpha is y. Sine alpha is y. Okay. Now, for this point, how large is this angle? Which is pi over 2 minus alpha. Why? Because this angle is alpha, and the width is 90 degrees. So pi over 2, 90 degrees minus this angle, that will be the angle of this part. Okay, so this angle pi over 2 minus alpha corresponding to this point P0 with coordinate yx. Then it tells us what? Cosine pi over 2 minus alpha is the x coordinate, which is y. But you know, sine alpha is y, so they are equal. And then this tells us what? Cosine pi over 2 minus alpha equals sine alpha. So that is how we got this. Cosine pi over 2 minus alpha is sine alpha. Similarly, we have a sine pi over 2 minus alpha. This angle to sine, that will be the vertical coordinate, will be this one. And this one is x. So then you will have a sine pi over 2 minus alpha equals cosine alpha. So that will be this formula. Okay, sine pi over 2 minus alpha is cosine alpha. So that's easy to remember. Okay, Similarly, readers may enjoy to derive this formula. Okay, it's based on the graph right here. Based on this graph, we shall get this group of the formulas. Okay, so with those two groups, formulas, and the formulas previously we have learned, then we can do this question right here. Right here. Okay. This question says that we want to prove this identity is true by the given formulas, or by formulas we already know, to prove those two. We know sine 3 pi over 2 minus alpha, this one, can be written as sine pi plus pi over 2 minus alpha. Again, that's because pi is 2 pi over 2 plus pi over 2 minus alpha. Okay, then you have pi over 2 plus 2 pi over 2. You then have what? 3 pi over 2 minus alpha, which is the one right here. Okay, so then again, treat this one as an angle in the first quadrant. Then plus pi will be in the third quadrant. And treat this one as in the first quadrant. Then between those two triangle trigonometric function values, we know one is in the first quadrant, and this one is in the third quadrant. Then we have a y coordinate will be opposite, so that's how you have a negative right here. Okay, now you get rid of the pi, you have a negative here. Then this one we got to use the formula we did today, pi over 2 minus alpha. Pi over 2 minus alpha is actually cosine alpha based on the formulas we just learned. And here, negative sign, we keep it. Sine pi over 2 minus alpha is indeed cosine alpha. That's the formula from where? Not this group, but the formulas we did before, right here. Okay, so you see the formula here. This was the one, one is that, yeah, this was the one, sine pi over 2 minus alpha is cosine alpha. Okay, so then you know right here we have a sine pi over 2 here, sine pi over 2 minus alpha is cosine alpha. We keep this negative sign. Okay, you may do this one in a similar way. Please review this lecture. I'll see you next time.